Hey guys, what's going on? It's Mr. Sooner back with another reaction video. I'm going to be reacting to the John Jones Dominic Reyes UFC 247 fight. So last night we had John Jones, the champion, fighting against Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes was 12-0. John Jones 25-1. I did a preview video shortly before the fight. I watched the fight. So my initial reaction to the fight live as I watched it was kind of crazy. I saw initially like I said, my initial reaction, I thought Reyes won the fight. I thought it was a good fight. It was a close fight. It could have gone either way. I had Reyes up 3 rounds to 2. Obviously, John Jones came on in the fourth and the fifth. I felt like the third round could have gone either way. I had Reyes slightly ahead in the third round. That's why I gave it 3-2. So by the time the fight finished, I went back and watched the fight about 3 or 4 more times, just to kind of wrap my head around it, be more objective, look for things, because it's kind of hard when you're watching it in real time to really digest everything that happened in the fight. So it's good to go back and watch. I know a lot of fighters do that. I know John Jones in his post-fight press conference talked about, that he didn't feel 100% confident at the end of the fight, and that his managers were telling him, John, you need to go out in the fifth round and win this round, because the fight, could possibly hinge on that, which I feel like he did win the fifth round. And Dominic Reyes, after his post-fight press conference, he was visibly upset, and and I get it, because like I said, at the end of the day, the fight could have gone either way. But like I said, my initial reaction directly after the fight, I thought Reyes won. Uh, Now I go back, like I said, and I've watched the fight a few times since last night, and got a little bit differing of opinion. I think it best for Reyes. I think it would have been a draw. Like I said, I just feel like John Jones did win the fight. Now, I do have some stats. I'm going to go into a little bit round by round. I'm not going to go into actual, what punch landed here, this point. I'm just going to kind of give you my takeaway after watching it a few times of what I thought and saw after the actual fight live. So now on the stats are a little deceiving to me. Going back and watching it again, there were no knockdowns. There was a semi knockdown, if you want to call it a knockdown. I don't know if it was a slippage. Obviously, the judges didn't score it as a knockdown when Reyes hit John Jones, but it could have gone either way, I think. But anyways, so Jones and Reyes both had no knockdowns. Total strikes, John Jones had 107 to Reyes' 119. So Reyes was plus 12 in total strikes. Significant strikes was 104 to Jones, 116 to Reyes. Reyes was plus 12 in that also. Headshots, Jones was 31, Reyes was 41, so Reyes plus 10 in that. He got a few more headshots. Body shots, there was a larger discrepancy in that. Jones had 30, Reyes had 48. So like I said, there was a little more of a discrepancy. Now, there was a big discrepancy in leg strikes, leg kicks for Jones. Jones had 43 and Reyes had 27, so Jones was plus 16 in that. Now, on control, Jones had a minute and 41 seconds, Reyes 0, with Jones getting 2 takedowns, Reyes none. There were no submission attempts. So that's pretty much the stats there. And as you can see in the stat total, Reyes pretty much dominated on those stats. Now, I think what helped Jones out obviously were the leg kicks, but the 2 takedowns, those were big for Jones. Now, Reyes defended those takedowns really well. He wasn't on his back long. And when Jones did have him in the clinch, it wasn't a very long clinch. It was pretty short, maybe 20, 30 seconds here or there. So it wasn't, a dramatic, like the takedowns weren't dramatic, but they did score them as takedowns. And judges are going to score how they score. I'm a big boxing fan. I've watched boxing pretty much my whole life. You've seen how judges score some of those fights. I do have an issue with the scoring on one of the judges, and I'll get into that in a little bit. I think it's outlandish, in my opinion. So going into round one, I think Reyes came out like a bull in a china shop, although he was measured on his approach, but he was definitely he was pushing the pace. He was, high volume striking, some really good hits. And Jones was controlling the pace as far as, making Reyes back up. Jones was constantly moving forward. Reyes, was backing up, but Reyes was connecting a lot more with a lot harder shots. I think a lot more effective shots. So I obviously gave round one to Reyes. Round two, pretty much the same thing. A lot of, good striking from Reyes. John Jones had his moments. Reyes, a consistent pace in the second round, same as the first. He was also, like I said, landing some really good shots. One thing I did notice towards the end of the second round, going into the third, you could kind of see very slightly that Reyes was, I don't know if it was getting tired, if his corner, told him to slow down his pace because it was a 5-round fight. They wanted him to conserve some of his energy, but he did slow down there really late in the end of the second. But again, I had the second round for Reyes. Round three, Jones, again, constant pressure. He was always moving forward, and that's the one thing I noticed through round 1 through 5 is Jones' consistency in moving forward, kind of forcing Reyes to make his shots. He wasn't backing down. Neither one of them were backing down, but John Jones, his pressure was constant. Round 3 was better striking for Jones, and I started to notice, the pace for Reyes was slowing down, and a lot of people, say round 3 was the round that could have gone either way. But again, going back and looking at it, I can see where Reyes was starting to slow down his strikes. And he was still landing strikes. He was still out there throwing them, but I just didn't feel like they carried the same momentum. The strikes didn't seem to affect Jones as they did in the first 2 rounds, and that's kind of where you start seeing little things that could have flipped it to Jones, and I think ultimately did. I think it was the cardio, the constant pressure from Jones that obviously won him that round. Going into round 4, Jones, obviously clinching. He got a takedown. His cardio was consistent. That's another thing. Like I said, through all 5 rounds, you saw Jones applying pressure, but he looked the same from round 1 to 5. He didn't look like he was labored. He didn't look like he was getting tired. He just a consistent, flatline level. He didn't look like, he was like he was trying to overcome. He just, and I don't know if that was his game plan. I think he was just, even killed through 1 through 5. He was taking less damage in the 4th. Again, he got the takedown. And Reyes just seemed like he had less power in his shots. The shots that were hitting Jones just didn't seem like he had as much power behind him. He was obviously winded. He hadn't been, to the 4th round ever in his career. So, new territory for Reyes. So you started seeing Jon Jones taking control, and Jones definitely won the 4th round. I have no doubt about that. 5th round, wash, rinse, repeat. Jones took him down again, constant pressure. And Reyes seemed, more and more he was getting tired. His shots weren't as effective. His striking was going down a little bit, not much. He was still, at a steady pace. It just didn't seem like his striking was as effective. So obviously, I had Jon Jones in the 5th round. So we go back to the 3rd, and that's the controversial round. I think a lot of people that I've seen on Twitter, I've seen on ESPN, UFC, the post-fight press conference, they all give Reyes the first 2 rounds. Absolutely, and I do too. A lot of people give Jon Jones the 4th and 5th round. So, that's pretty uncontroversial, I guess you could say. I think the 3rd round is where the controversy kicks in. Going back and looking at the whole fight in its totality and seeing the ebbs and flows, I just think Jon Jones was more consistent. Do I think his takedowns helped him in scoring? Obviously. But, you also have Reyes outstriking him, more significant strikes, more headshots, more body shots. And like I said, a lot of the shots that Reyes, threw at Jones were very effective until it got towards, like I said, the 4th and 5th rounds. They just didn't seem to have the power behind them. So, 3rd round, I got to give it to Jones, just because of just the consistency. Jones was getting in some good shots. He was more measured in this fight. He seemed like he, what's the word for it? He just seemed like, he wasn't going to get bothered. He wasn't going to, flip out. He wasn't going to go crazy. He was just going to be a consistent fight, consistent pressure. And, one thing I noticed in this fight, that he wasn't looking for that knockout. Now, I know he said in his post-fight press conference that, he wanted to take Reyes out before the 4th round, before the championship rounds. But it just didn't show. It looked like he was more, measured, balanced, than I've seen Jon Jones in a while. So, again, Jon Jones wins controversial fashion, round 5 unanimous decision. Now, that I go back and look and watch the fights. And I know I keep harping on it, but you do got to do that. You got to be objective in this. You got to go back and watch the fight, watch the replays, the highlights a couple times, and you can be a little bit more objective. Um, so I do have John Jones winning that fight, 3-2, very close 3-2. But I just think Jones, even though the stats don't say it, I think he just did just a sliver more to keep his championship. Uh, Now, with that being said, let's move on to the judges. Um, Now, the three judges, and this was in Houston, Texas, which is, I actually live in the Houston area. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get tickets to the fight. But the council, the judges, I don't know what they were seeing. Some of these fights, some of the prelim fights were a little controversial. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on that. But I do have an issue with one of these judges. Two of the judges scored for Jones 48-47. Okay, I don't really have a problem with that. Because, like I said, it could have gone either way. That was more of a split decision. I get it. Uh, but one judge, 46-49. Now, like I said, going back, watching it, I've changed my opinion on who won the fight. Uh, like I said, I think John Jones won it, but not 46-49. No way in hell do I think he ever showed a 46-49 fight. A 48-47, yes. I will agree with that all day. But a 46-49, I don't know what the hell that judge was looking at. I don't know what fight he or she was watching. Um, it was outlandish, and that's a big problem for me. I've said to a lot of people, I love the direction the UFC is going. I love that, they, over the years, they, initiated weight classes, different divisions, more, they're more structured like boxing is. Because I remember back in the day, the Hoist Gracies and the Ken Shamrocks and Dan Severins and all that. Back in the day, a lot of those were tournaments. They fought multiple people at night. There weren't a lot of rules. You had a 150-pound guy fighting a 300-pound guy, and it was basically, fight to the death almost. Where now, it's more structured. It's a lot safer. And it's more like boxing, and that's the problem I have. Not that it's more like boxing. I love the structure. I love the different divisions. What I hate is the judging. We all know, anybody that's a boxing fan, or that used to be a boxing fan that watched boxing, um, realizes that there's been quite a few fights where the judging is atrocious. People lost. Uh, Manny Pacquiao, he lost a fight in Australia that he had no business losing because of some of the judging, and that could have happened here today. With John Jones and Reyes, that could have cost. But what if that was the other way? What if that was, uh, you know, more John Jones than or more towards Reyes than Jones? That could have cost John Jones his championship, and oh my God, there would have been, you would have never heard the end of it. So I have a big issue with the judging in this fight. Um, I don't know what they need to do. I know Dana White in his his post fight press conference talked about it. That he's going to get with the Texas Commission, probably moving forward, other commissions, about some of the scoring. I think they need to vet these judges a little better. They need to vet their knowledge on the sport. But I just feel like they kind of treated it like a boxing match more than UFC. And to get a 46-49 to me was ridiculous. But at the end of the day, it's neither here nor there. It doesn't change the outcome. like I said, guys, I apologize. I'm a little winded on this, but I just wanted to give a more thorough breakdown on this, my thoughts. And I know I might be repeating myself on a couple things, but I just had to get this out, get the stats, what I thought about rounds, 1 through 5, what I thought about the refs, uh, and what I think moving forward. I think Reyes deserves a rematch, instant rematch. I don't know. You never know what's in Dana White's head. He's all about the big fight, the promotion, the best fight at the moment. Is it going to happen? Are they going to run it back? I don't know. Would I love to see it? Heck yeah. I think it'd be a great fight. Um, so I don't know what's in Reyes' future. As far as John Jones, of course, he's got so many avenues he can go down. I know they asked him about Israel Adesanya, and he pretty much, shut that down pretty quick in the post-fight press conference. Some other fighters, he really didn't get into it. I think John Jones is just kind of, he's going to take a step back, take a deep breath. And just kind of go from there and let it play out how it plays out. But I do believe Reyes is legit. I'm definitely a fan of his now. I'm going to be following him. I'm going to be watching a lot more of his fights, and I'm excited to see his future in the light heavyweight division. Another thing that I do want to add to this real quick, John Jones did make history. He passed George St. Pierre for most title defenses. I want to say it's 15. I think St. Pierre had 14. I want to say he had 14, but he did, break St. Pierre's record, and I think that's awesome. Again, I think John Jones is going to go down as probably the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, deservedly so. Like I pointed out in the preview video, you can go down his record and see the people he's beaten. There's nobody that can compare to that. Maybe St. Pierre, close. Anderson Silva, he's up there, but just the people that he's beaten is just astounding. So again, John Jones, he sets a new record in the UFC. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a hell of a fight. I know a lot of people might be disappointed with the outcome, but again, my opinion changed. I rewatched it. Congratulations to John Jones. I'm a John Jones fan. And I just, I got to call it how I see it. And going back and watching it, I think Jones won. People can disagree, and and I understand that, but just being objective, reasonable, and looking at it, John Jones won that fight very, very narrowly, very narrowly, but he did win that fight. So yeah, guys, I just wanted to say thank you for watching this video. I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. Like I said, this is one of my longer ones, but I had to go more into detail about it, and I hope you all enjoy it. Feel free to comment and let me know what you think, what you would like to see new on this channel, and I'll talk to y'all later. Facebook. Thanks. Or YouTube. Sorry, Facebook. Thanks, guys. Bye.